We continue to follow big developing news after a federal judge paused today's deadline for federal employees to accept the Trump administration's so-called deferred resignation offer, which means the legality of all of this, we're going to watch it play out in court. Now, the choice, of course, for employees was resign now and get paid through September, or face an uncertain future. Joining us now is Scott Oswald, Managing Principal at the Employment Law Group. It is so good to have you here.
Simone, glad to be here.
Lots of people with questions. Let's dive right in. We know this has been paused. We still want to make sure that people have the information they need should this resume again. So break it down here. For employees trying to make this decision, essentially, you specialize in workplace justice. What would you advise federal workers faced with this choice to do?
Well, the first thing is they will get an email today, which notifies all of them that the deadline has been moved to Monday. But in thinking about this is to decide whether you're willing to accept an offer that actually may never materialize. If that's the case, take the offer, but otherwise wait and see.
Okay, I did want to ask you, I'm getting direct messages from viewers at home who have sent in questions, and one of them says, I was hired to my DOJ appointment just 3 months ago. They're still in a probationary period. If I resign by tomorrow, am I entitled to the terms outlined in the deferred resignation program? If I stay, what are my rights? What's your initial thought off the cuff on that?
So probationary employees, it's tougher because you don't have the general rights that other employees do that pass their probation period. But for her, it actually may be a good deal because if you get the additional 9 months, she may be able to stay, through Monday and then not have to work beyond that point. The real problem is whether ultimately, because this agreement is not enforceable, whether ultimately you're going to get and see the monies between now and September.
Sounds stressful, to put it mildly.
It is stressful.
Yeah, okay, I've got another one, again, just messaging in right now from our viewers. If someone resigns, if they've taken the buyout already before this came down with the pause, are they eligible maybe to get their job back? I know this is vague, but what's your initial reaction to that?
Check in with your supervisor right away. Find out what they've done. There may be a possibility the supervisor will accept a rescission on the agreement, but don't bet on it. Most likely what's going to happen is they're going to say, no, we're going to accept your resignation and proceed accordingly.
The main question we just get time and time again is, how is this legal? Is it legal? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, it's not legal. And the reason it's not legal is because of the fact that it bypasses established severance statutes that are in place right now. The administration could have used those, but they would have to then consult Congress. They didn't want to do that. So they've bypassed this to use a process which is not authorized. Right now, what is authorized is 10 days of administrative leave. And so what they're offering really is beyond what the statute provides. And very likely, ultimately, Congress may not even fund this money.
We know that there's a hearing on Monday. Lots of people are going to be watching and waiting for what happens with that.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock, exactly.
Yeah.
Eyes glued there. I just wanted to take you back. So let's just assume things resume on Monday. So let's go back and talk about to these workers. What do they need to know before they sign anything?
Well, the first thing is ask for the agreement that you're going to have to sign after you send your resignation in, because that agreement outlines what it is you're giving up. You are giving up all of the rights that you have as a federal employee. It's a complete release of claims. So you're not going to be able to contest any kind of decision not to pay you in the future. Make sure that you're comfortable in signing that release. Ask for it in advance. Okay,
we have another question coming down that I'm just getting. If I take the government buyout, am I eligible for any retirement money?
Potentially, yes. What they're saying right now is that the date on which you would retire would be either the 30th of September or potentially a date beyond that, depending upon how your retirement date is calculated. Again, check with HR, make sure you get a copy of your official personnel folder, know when your retirement date is, ask them for their opinion about whether or not you accept this offer, whether you'll be able to retire as of that date.
I know you're talking with a lot of people, a lot of people who are employed by the federal workforce. What is the anxiety level like? What are people telling you about this situation?
Well, people are confused because they haven't gotten a clear message from OPM, and that's part of the problem here, is that there are mixed messages. The thing to know is that if you accept this offer, there may be no monies in the future, and you may be resigning your position with no recourse.
Okay, final question here. What do you want people to know most? If they take one thing from this today, what would you say to them?
Ask for the agreement itself that you have to sign after you resign, so you understand what all the terms are. Check in with your supervisor, make sure that you've checked in with HR, you've gotten a copy of your official personnel folder, and make the decision with full information.
Scott Oswald, Managing Principal with the Employment Law Group. We appreciate your time, and we certainly appreciate your expertise. Thank you.
Simone, my pleasure.
All right. Caitlin, we're going to send it over to you. Oh, excuse me. If you have more questions, text us, 202-895-5599. As you saw, we were actively taking your questions during the show. We will work to take more of those, and we're going to get you those answers. Caitlin?